cellular data in a neighborhood that doesn't seem like it has a lot of signal, so this might come up super choppy. This is not a comeback, guys. This is just me talking to you because I read an article just now that was super scary to me, but also brings up a great conversation for someone else to have. And so here I am volunteering to give a conversation to somebody else because I don't think it's something that we really ever talk about when it comes to K-pop, honestly. Okay, so I was looking at the group chat between me and a few friends, and they had mentioned that a rapper by the name of Ocean Gum was recently in court behind behind molesting a young boy. And of course, that sounds awful, terrible, all the things. And of course, I'm horrified to hear that that happens to anybody. Well, the story is a lot more involved than just that headline because the headline was accused of molesting young boy. Rapper says he only wanted to taste the young boy's feces. I'm sorry, we're getting graphic here. I should have given a trigger warning. I apologize. Um, so going into the article, apparently Ocean Gum was a rapper who appeared on the High School Rapper show, which I watched a little bit of it. I really didn't follow the seasons that closely. It just wasn't my bag. And apparently his music career really didn't go anywhere. So after his music career didn't go anywhere, he went back to his hometown. But even when he went back to his hometown, he was found wandering the streets naked and just having a mental breakdown. He had even been hospitalized in June of last year behind this mental breakdown. Well, I guess one day he got tired of the people in town making fun of him for having been a failed rapper and also for his mental health breakdown and the shenanigans that accompany that. So he took a bus to a city where he didn't know anybody. And when he arrived in this city, after wandering around for a while, he came across this young boy and he proceeded to then grab this young boy, unclothe him, and stick hands in his pants to try to harvest feces from this boy. This is a wild story. And so his lawyer is basically arguing to the court that this was not a sexual assault. This was more of a physical assault because there was no sexual intent. This young man has severe mental illness. And, you know, this is a result of that mental illness, which I agree that this young man has severe mental illness. You know, when it comes to being a human being, we have certain instincts in us that are caveman instincts that you don't have to think about. You just know. One of them is like, don't put your hand in fire. It's hot, it'll burn you. Try not to get too cold. You'll die from cold, frostbite. Don't eat poop. You'll get sick if you eat poop. These are things that at the base of your skull, those little common sense markers live there. They don't live anywhere else. So the fact that his system and caused him to want to taste feces. This is a very, very sick young man. This is a young man who is beyond just like, oh, you're out here whiling. This is somebody who needs to be in a hospital somewhere being given intensive treatment and who should never get off medication, to be quite honest. But I bring this up because in the article, it was pretty much established that the impetus for this breakdown was his rap career failing. And Korea has had some tough times recently. Like economically, Korea's been having a tough time. Socially, there's been a lot of issues going on with, the Me Too movement and then like these terrible misogynist assholes who won the presidency in the country not that long ago. And so it's been tough for everybody. And we're at an age in a social media time where a lot of young people see their escape from kind of some of the difficulties and harshness of a really unfair, dying world being entertainment. And you have a lot of young people who are like, if I could just become a big rapper, if I could just become an idol, if I could just do that, then I could change my life. I could be happier. I could have more money. I could have people like me better. Like all these things could happen if I could just get famous. And so now more than any other time in history, you've got more groups debuting, you've got more companies forming, you've got more young people taking a chance hoping that they can cash in on international stardom. And the fact of the matter is, winning the K-pop Idol Olympics is like winning the lottery. It's just not one of those things that happens easily. It is one in a million. It really and truly is one in a million. And in the past, when we've read stories about scandals that idols have had, most of the scandals we read are idols who are former idols who their groups have broken up, idols who are Nugu idols and things are tense because they're not getting the success that they were hoping to have. We very rarely read a ton of stories about current working idols just totally losing it and doing something wild. And the reason why we very rarely read those kinds of stories is because a working successful idol has got so much more going on in their life. A working successful idol has the support of their company to keep their worst behavior from making it to the news. A working successful idol has the luxury of being able to achieve those dreams and not being eaten up by the bitterness of having never succeeded. Whereas these Nugus who are brought into these companies that have a shoestring budget and they're being pushed to the edge to try to make something out of nothing, even though it's not their fault. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm gonna have to work at a hostess bar in order to be able to afford to eat. Or I'm gonna have to get involved in selling marijuana to other idols in order for me to put some money in my pocket. Or I'm gonna be reduced to blackmailing some celebrity that I somehow managed to get in their circle because it's the only way to support myself. All of a sudden I'm an escort because a manager tricked me into thinking this is a good way to make connections in the industry. A lot of that kind of stuff happens to young idols on minor labels because there's no support there. Because people take advantage of the dreams of young people all the time. All the time. I'm a grown person. Like, I'm in my 40s, and I can tell you, when I was younger, like, and I mean probably like 12, 13, all the time it was scams on how to become a famous actor, scams on how to become a model, people saying, oh, I can make you famous if you give me, a couple $1,000 so I could do headshots, that kind of stuff. And it's again taking advantage of the dreams of young people. And that there's not enough discussion about like what's plan B. How are these kids being supported? Because once we hear about them for some scandal that they've had in the news, or their group breaks up after only being together for a week, or something else like that, what's the next thing? Because it used to be that you could leave a group if you were on a small label, and maybe later on you have a chance to get on a big label. But even now, if your group debuts, even if your group only stays together for 15 minutes, you don't get a second chance to be in another group because your name is now in social media search engines and you've tainted through no fault of your own. So now companies don't want to take a chance on you. You have no career now. And everything you've trained for and everything you've mortgaged your future on is all for nothing because no one will touch you with a 10-foot pole if you've ever been in the news for anything other than something amazing. And it just hurts my heart that this is the reality of things. It hurts my heart that this is the reality of things because, but for the grace of God, there go our favorite idols. But for the grace of God, that could be Onu. But for the grace of God, there could go Taeyong from NCT. Hell, almost, almost. The desperate things that he did in terms of scamming people on eBay and being like a scam artist. Do you know why he did that? Because he probably thought, like, if I don't get anything else out of this experience of being an SM trainee, I'm at least get a little bit of money. I I love K-pop. Like, don't get me wrong, I actually love K-pop, and I had a few people on my last video recommend I check out Stacy. I have. Young Love is a great little mini album. But I digress. I love K-pop, but some of the same bullshit that exists in every other form of media all around the world, a lot of it exists in K-pop, and it's really hard to love an entertainment industry that abuses young people so bad that you find yourself in the middle of the street butt naked in your hometown and then taking a bus to another town to eat the feces of a child. It's really hard to love an industry that just chews up and spits out young people like this with no kind of preparation for anything else. And so, I mean, I still support my faves. I bought Onu's Dice album. I bought Red Velvet's latest album. I'm gonna buy TXT's latest album. I'm probably gonna get that Stacy album. And I bought Needle and Bubble from Ukiss because I just thought it was a good deal. But in terms of like getting the warm and fuzzy feelings from K-pop, that I'm not feeling it right now. I just feel sad. Even listening to Big Bang's latest song, which I meant to make a video about it. I was like, this would be a great reason to do a video. Even listening to Big Bang's latest song and watching the video, I remember thinking to myself like, yeah, I'm cool on this. And I don't mean it in a mean way cuz I am so neutral to Big Bang at this point that I can't even be mean about it. Like, Sungri's not in the group anymore, so that's done and dusted. He's already gone through his trials, already had his verdict, so like, there's nothing more to say, honestly, when it comes to him. When it comes to the rest of Big Bang, they put out a song, they did a video. Daesung's hair looked really cool in the promos, but I this song, Flower Road, uh, gosh, any like ballad kind of Beatles inspired song that Big Bang has ever done, this is just another in that track record. And I just can't bring myself to feel any big emotional connection to it. I wish I could. I wish I had watched that video and been like, wow, the feels. More so, I was thinking to myself, everyone in this video, because I guess they're all different seasons, they're all in their own set pieces. They're all separated. They don't come together until I think one particular scene in the video. And to me, that kind of speaks to the way K-pop is for me. I started second gen when a lot of these groups were still whole and healthy, and there was a lot more room in the industry to have variety. And now at this point, we're fractured. Everyone's kind of got their own little separate solo silo that they exist in. And sometimes they come together for a cool project here and there, but for the most part, there's always going to be somebody missing. There's always going to be some scandal that people aren't allowed to talk about anymore. And it's just, it's not the same. It's not the same. And so I think about that a lot. And I just think to myself, yeah, I don't think I'm ready to return to K pop right now. I'm still going to be supporting my faves. I'm still going to be doing what I need to do in that respect. But in terms of like going back to K pop on a regular basis and talking about the shenanigans and this one's doing that and that one's doing this, yeah, I'm still on a significant hiatus. So thank you guys for watching this live. I know it's not much. It's probably nothing that you actually want to hear. But if this provides a discussion point for somebody else to talk about like what's left, I think that it should be talked about because honestly, to me, it feels like the only place that's left after you have failed at K-pop is hoping for some benevolent God to give you a variety career, hoping that you're able to make it as a VJ, or gosh, hoping that it's not too late to go through the military and get back in school and try to make a life of it. That's it. Bye, guys.